Hi, in this videotape, we're going to get down to business. We'll use the visual framework that we've outlined in the first two videos to explain how to create different styles of mixes. This is mixing theory. Plato and all those Greek dudes wrote myriads of books on a wide range of art forms, including music theory. Mixing, on the other hand, is a new art form. You could say it's still in its adolescent form. You see, we've only had stereo for about 30 years. We have a lot of books that explain what all the equipment in the studio does, but there are virtually no books that try to explain the aesthetic side of what makes a great mix. Hardly anybody has tried to even approach the whole world of artistic values, perhaps because it's so fraught with different people's values. The normal process for learning to make a great mix is through experience with recording each style of music. First, you learn the tools and how they're used in each style of music. But you might have gotten to the point where you begin to wonder why your mixes don't sound like CDs. And you know professional engineers are getting great mixes every time. Certain professional engineers command extremely large fees because they are capable of coming up with something that most people perceive as great every time. So what is it they're doing? It isn't magic. They're doing some very specific things. Now that we have a framework for explaining what is done in a mix, we can now explore these things that engineers are doing to make such great mixes. This video is designed to help you discover these high-level values that major engineers have. Because you see, once you understand what these other guys are doing, you get a good perspective on what can be done. Then you can do whatever the hell you want, based on your own values. In order to determine what makes a great mix, we must first determine what you can do in a mix as opposed to what you can do during the recording session. There are a wide range of aspects that contribute to a good recording besides the mix. The mix is only one of a number of aspects. If any one of these components isn't happening, then it will stick out like a sore thumb and say, "Mix sucks." The professional engineer will often help the band refine all of these aspects during the session. We'll cover how to refine each of these components later on in aspects of a recorded piece of music. The mix is only one of all of these components. There are 4 types of tools that you can use in a mix to create all the different styles of mixes in the world. The tools are volume faders, pan pots, equalization, and effects. The question is, what can we do with these tools? As mentioned in the previous video, the equipment in the studio, the art of mixing is the way in which the dynamics we create with the equipment in the studio interface with the dynamics apparent in music and songs. So what are the dynamics in the music?
When we speak about dynamics, we're not talking about common terminology used for volume dynamics. We're not talking about changes in loudness. We are talking about changes in intensity, musical dynamics, any type of change in the music that causes a change in a person.
Well, the dynamics in the music are as different as people are.
That which comes from music is as varied as life itself.
Some people feel very strong emotions when they hear some types of music. Probably the most common dynamic that people see in music is simply up or down. Whatever the content of the up or down is, this is a common perception around music. Some people see structure in music, and sometimes they relate these structures to common structures found in the world, such as buildings, bridges, and pyramids. Some people actually see the workings of the brain in a song. They see the way in which our minds work as being the same as the flow of the song. Some people even think of songs as thought forms. In fact, Some bands write their music in this way to represent the way our brains work. This explains the common theory that music is just an extension of our personalities.
You've got it backwards, Grasshopper. The music came first. You are an extension of the music.
Some people relate to music through music theory. They see notes on a scale, they see intervals, they see chords. They see the structure of the song in musical terminology. Some people have physical reactions, like dancing. Not only does music move us physically, but there's also a whole world of music therapy based on the healing vibrations of sound. Some people see visual imagery. Walt Disney saw all kinds of things, including flying elephants. Just check out MTV to see a whole nother world of visual imagery. You might say, I see bubbles. Some people see spiritual connotations. The whole world of religious music is a good example. Some people see some music as a direct connection to God. There's a wide range of possible dynamics that music evokes in different people. Different people get different things out of music. It's true. All of the things that people get out of music are as varied as people and life itself. The trick is for the recording engineer to create musical dynamics with the equipment that match dynamics that people see in music, whatever those dynamics might be. Everything that you could possibly think of as to how music affects you or anyone else is valid. Anything anybody gets out of music is real. The art of the engineer is to enhance or bring out those musical dynamics even more with the equipment in the studio. Now, what are the dynamics that we can create with the equipment in the studio? With volume faders, pan pots, equalization, and effects. Let's start with volume faders.
For those of you who are of a mind that would like to follow the overall structure of the presentation, let us show you a graphic of how it is all organized. We will be going through each of the tools in the studio: volume, EQ, panning, and effects. As we go through each one, we will explain the dynamics that can be created with each one based on, first, the difference between individual levels or settings for that piece of equipment. Second, the overall patterns that can be created between the relationships of all the sounds in the mix. And third, what happens when you move the knobs during the mix, an especially effective dynamic.